Why is it that all of a sudden Florida's schedule isn't as tough as advertised? I don't get it. This is still arguably the most difficult schedule we've ever seen in college football.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. I am Brandon Olsen, lifelong Florida Gators fan, your ever gracious host. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. And I have to talk about this because it's driving me freaking nuts. I feel like since SEC Media Days, when they asked Billy Napier about the schedule 437 times, however frequently it was, I feel like ever since then, what I've seen on the timeline and on boards and Discord is that the schedule isn't that tough all of a sudden. You go, nah, the schedule is not really that tough. It's overblown. It's mostly brand names. No, this is still an incredibly difficult schedule. I don't get where the hell it's coming from. That all of a sudden we want to start talking about, it's not really that tough. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm lower on Miami and Texas A&M and Kentucky than I think most people are. And by most people, I'm most unbiased fans. So not Miami, not Texas A&M, not Kentucky, not Florida fans. None of them. I think I'm lower on most of them. That's not like also, can we talk about this for a second? I don't even know his name. I think it might be RJ something on CFB on Fox. Like he was like, oh yeah, any team that schedules Samford, that can't be the toughest schedule. If you have Samford on it, I can't respect it. Shut the hell up and never open your mouth again about something like that. Samford is where you draw the line. Name every other team on that schedule. Is there another even group of 5 program on that schedule? Show me other teams that are doing that. Show me other teams that have had that happen. Because having Samford on the schedule is nothing, especially when Samford is game 2. Most teams will have a Samford, if you play College Football 25, FCS Southeast. Most teams will have them week 1, get a little tune-up going. Now, Florida's jumping into the water with a game against Miami to start the season. I understand Samford being on the schedule. I get it. I get being like, oh, like that's not a tough team. That's one game out of 12, which means what? 8% of your games? Come on now. Don't be an idiot. I know you are an idiot, but don't be an idiot. The thing with this schedule being considered a gauntlet is not, every team's a playoff contender. No, stupid. That's not how it works. Which, first off, any team except for Samford that wins their conference is going in the playoff, even if they win a conference with a 9-3 record and then they go win the even then they're getting in, right? The issue, or not even the issue, the point about Florida's schedule being considered a gauntlet is not every team is a playoff contender. It's not. The thing about Florida's schedule being so difficult, there aren't easy games on it. Samford, RJ, is one game out of 12. That is one of your, 2 games where you go, Florida's going to win those games. And even then, you could argue that's incorrect because you could argue that the only 2 definite wins are Samford and Mississippi State. Even the Mississippi State game is on the road versus Jeff Levy. Great. I don't like Jeff Levy. I've never been shy about that. I don't like him. I think he's trash. However, damn good play caller. Damn good schemer. So I'm not saying that even that is as definite as I think some people think it is. But I'm saying you look at the schedule And you tell me, at what point is there a single stretch where you can confidently say that's a guaranteed winning streak? Go ahead, look it up. Not, oh, Florida should win those games for sure, which even then you can't really say for a lot of the games. But I mean games where you look at right now and you can say, I'll put my life savings on Florida winning that stretch for sure. Winning those games back to back to back, even. Go ahead. You can. You look at the schedule, you start against Miami, then you have Samford. Miami, you're not going to say, oh, yeah, I'll put my life savings on winning, on opening the season 2-0, 3-0. No, because Miami, probably at the same spot as Florida right now. That's been my approach, my thought process. Samford, sure, you could say that's a guaranteed win. But there's Miami, Samford, Texas A&M. You going to put your life savings on that? That's what I mean when I say there's no stretch of guaranteed wins. Even Samford, RJ, even that. There's no game that right before or right after it is a guaranteed win. Even if you want to consider Mississippi State a guaranteed win. Texas A&M before then, UCF after them. Not saying those are guaranteed definitive wins. And by that, I'm not saying Florida should win those games. Like that's a fine metric to say. You could say Florida should win against Texas A&M. Florida should win against Mississippi State. Florida should win against UCF. You could say that you have 4 should win games right now with Samford through UCF. I'm saying games that you know are a win. It's not existent. After UCF is Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. Yeah, this is still the gauntlet. Not because every team is a playoff contender, but because there are no easy games outside of Samford as definitive guaranteed wins and maybe Mississippi State. That's why it's arguably the toughest schedule we've ever seen, RJ. Okay? That's why. It's not, oh, I can't respect the team that has Samford on there. Shut the hell up. Never open your mouth about the program again if that's the kind of nonsense that you're going to be spewing. Fox pays you for that? I don't know where the hell you're going from with that kind of logic. It's not the first time RJ said something really ridiculously stupid, and it won't be the last time. I think that's just him trying his best there, right? I think so. I think that might be it. That's all I'm saying. But I am saying this. All that being said, all that saying that, by the way, hella teams here can go playoffs. Miami, they're considered an ACC contender, right? So Miami, I don't think Texas A&M is thought of really as a playoff team in Mike Elko's first year. Mississippi State's not in Jeff Lebby's first year. UCF, I don't think it is considered that, but I think that they should be considered at least contenders in the Big 12. I think their team's better than they get credit for. Tennessee, they're currently 16th. They're currently ranked 16th. That's 4 spots away from the playoff. Kentucky, I don't think will be a playoff team. Georgia, Texas should be playoff teams. Ole Miss should be playoff teams. LSU, you could argue, should be a playoff team if Garrett Nussmeier can replicate even 70% of the overall production that Jaden Daniels brought and the defense steps up. Florida State, they're ranked 15th right now. They should be in the playoff conversation, right? That's a lot of teams that you look at and you go, they're in the playoff conversation, right? Miami, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. That's 7, not including the one that I think you should consider of UCF, which would be 8. 8 teams you realistically say, hey, they could be a playoff team this year. But it's not the toughest schedule. Because Samford is on it. That's what you're telling me. Your one entire brain cell brought you to that point. I mean, the fact that national media pays for just dumbass takes like that is insane to me. Okay? That all being said about this schedule, The bar needs to be higher for Florida in year 3 under Billy Napier. Okay? That has not changed. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer that it gets to the first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from receipt, and lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. And I can tell you this, I went to a concert last night with Game Time. I could post the slip if you want it. I guess slip would be what it's called. I guess the receipt tickets, whatever it is. Post it if you want it. I went last night to see that Mexican OT perform at Irving Plaza. Went and bought the tickets on Game Time. I was watching the price when they came out. It was $55 for general admission. When I bought them, $35 week before the event. Just saying. Game Time. They're kind of that place. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download a Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever in the podcast and on YouTube. I'm like heated, by the way. I don't know if you can tell. I'm heated about RJ with CFB on Fox, whatever name they want to go by. I hate it. Okay? I hate it. It's just national media is so bad covering college football. They're just awful. They are. And I don't necessarily fault them for doing it, but trying is just a stupid idea. It's 135 FBS teams. You can't cover them properly. You can't. You just can't do a good job doing it. Not possible. So that's my take on it. But especially if you're going to do it, don't be an idiot when you do it. Okay? Now, like I said, the bar needs to be raised for Florida in year 3 under Billy Napier. I acknowledge the schedule is incredibly tough. I get that. Okay? I think that right now we're at the point where a lot of fans, for every fan base really, they're going, oh, we're going to win this many games. Like, we're going to win 9 games, 10 games with this schedule. Like, we could do it. I think that we're in the point of the season where the hype's getting out of control a little bit. And you go, you know what? Schedule's not that tough. Yes, it is. Okay? Get that out the way. I think I've been one of the main Florida Gators fans when talking about expectations that has said the schedule plays a big part in what my expectations are for the season in terms of what I think will happen. Okay? In terms of what I think will happen. Don't get that twisted. Okay? There are no excuses. I've given my take on Billy's job security and the wins, right? I've said, I think if you win 5 games and you look improved, I think you could keep your job. Should you? We'll see. For me, honestly, I need you to win at least 6 games. I know that there are Gators fans everywhere that think 8 wins is the expectation. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I disagree. Okay, I don't think 8 wins should be the expectation. I think that if you can win 8 games with this schedule, you should be very happy. And I know that a lot of Florida Gators fans also go, I don't want to hear about the schedule. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. Because the schedule has to play a part in you going, well, Florida should win this many games or shouldn't win this many games. Realistically, as Florida Gators fans, I think we want to go, which is I was in a Twitter space yesterday talking with Lito about it, and I was just like, I think the difference here is that as Florida fans, we want to think back to like the Urban Meyer days, and we go, I don't give a damn who's in front of you. Beat them. Realistically, I don't think Florida's at that level of talent right now. It should be, and it's sad that they're not. I don't think they're at that level of talent right now where I go, I don't give a damn who's in front of you. Beat them all. I think that's it. I will say I need to see, and when I say this, I mean absolute minimum 6 wins this year for me with quality wins in there. And here's the thing. With the Florida Gators' current schedule, you can't win 6 games without having some quality wins. So win 6 games. Because at that point for me, and I'm not saying to be completely sold on, I'm just saying at that point for me, I will look at this and I'll say, Florida, you weren't favored in most of the games you played. We know that they're not going to be favored in most of the games they played because they're not going to be favored against Miami. I don't think they'll be favored against Texas A&M. They're not going to be favored versus Tennessee unless Tennessee really falls off. They're not going to be favored against Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, or Florida State. Like, they're going to be underdogs in most of their games, which is why I say, hey, if you can win 6 games while most people are expecting you to lose those games, that's the absolute minimum for me because you will have some quality wins at that point, right? And so for me, I'm not saying that I'm sold completely if you win 6 games. What I'm saying is you're taking a team with question marks. I understand Florida addressed a lot of them needs on paper. We'll talk about that later. You're taking a team with question marks going into the season and winning some quality games. I'm willing to give you more time to prove that you can right this ship. I am. You look at Miami, Texas A&M, then you've got UCF, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. Every game except Stanford and Mississippi State, even if some of those teams fall off, right? Let's say 2 of those teams vastly underperform. Let's say it's, I don't know, Texas A&M and Kentucky vastly underperform. Even if you win 6 games, that means you're going to have at least a couple of quality wins. Also, you cannot lose to Kentucky. I will lose my mind. You will see me lose my freaking mind live on stream if Florida loses to Kentucky. Okay? But when I say you got to win some quality games, I'm looking at, yes, you've got a lot of home games, and I do think that that will play a part in it, right? You've got, what, 7 home games this year? Perfect world. You at least win all 7 of them. And I mean, perfect world, or not even at least, perfect world, you win all 7 of them. And then it's like, oh, well, can we sneak away with something on the road, get to 8 wins? I understand the logic of it. I do. I understand the logic of going, well, you win all your games at home, and then you just have to win 1 on the road, and then you're at 8 wins. I get that. Realistically, this is still the coach that lost to Arkansas at home last year. This is still the coach that lost to Kentucky at home in his first year with the program. And again, I'm not saying I'm out on Billy Napier, but I'm saying I don't think the expectation should be win every game at home. Ideally, you win every game at home because the Swamp is a top 2 atmosphere in college football. I have said that always, and I will continue to say it. Swamp, Death Valley at night. But I just don't think it's fair to really say, hey, win every game at home, especially when some of your games at home are against number 24 ranked Miami, number 25 ranked Texas A&M, number 23 ranked Kentucky, number 12 ranked LSU, number 6 ranked Ole Miss. Like, tough teams, right? Whoops. Tough teams, right? Like, that's rough. I'm not going to say that you have to win every single game at home. I'm saying, hey, you win 5 of your 7 games at home, which I do think is way more realistic. 1 on the road with Mississippi State. Maybe go into Neyland. Florida's done it before. Billy Napier almost did it with a worse team in 2022. We're having a different conversation, right? All that being said, I really don't think it's too much to ask that when you look at the talent on the team. And we'll get to that next on Locked On Gators. Like I said, I went on my rant before. I can go on another one if you want. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to say that 6 wins should be the absolute minimum expectation. I don't. Because, like I said, you have question marks on this team. You do. On paper, you address a good deal of them, right? You look at, on paper, your offensive line should be significantly better. Austin Barber's healthy. Kanajia Harris is stepping in at left guard for Richie Leonard IV. You get a full off season with Jake Slaughter at starting center, which he did not have last year. I think that's important to acknowledge and recognize that he wasn't supposed to be the starting center last year. Kingsley Eguakun got hurt right before the season, and Jake Slaughter was thrown in there, and he kept rotating in and out with Kingsley the 4 games that Kingsley was healthy. It was a lot, right? Now, full offseason. Right guard, Damian George is sliding in from right tackle to replace Micah Mazuka, and right tackle, Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon came out of the transfer portal. That's 3 new positions with new starter, or 3 positions with new starters in 2024 compared to 2023. Damian George was a starter on your team last year. However, at guard, things will hopefully be easier for him. If not, you've also got more depth this year. Cameron Waits moved back to right guard. He is going to be challenging Damian George for the starting right guard spot. Devin Manuel, a swing tackle on the backside there. Play left tackle, right tackle if someone were to get hurt so that you're not playing injured people or bad players, right? Rod Kearney can play center and guard. He's there. Jason Sandomella's at center. You've added a lot of talent through the transfer portal to your offensive line. You've addressed it on paper. And I think if you have another year of really bad offensive line play, even if you do keep your job, I think that you need to make a massive change to the offensive line coaching staff. Okay? If the offensive line does not perform. And if the offensive line comes to fruition, it should be significantly improved. If that comes to fruition, you would replace the production lost by Trevor Etienne. You would. I don't think I've been unrealistic in saying that, the loss of Trevor Etienne is a big loss. He's your best runner, pure runner. I understand the pass blocking thing. I think I was one of the first people to really criticize his pass blocking being horrible. But even then, I don't say, oh yeah, like that's why I'm fine with him being gone. He should still be here. He's a good football player. He's a good football player, explosive, dynamic athlete. He's welcome on my team. Just needs to learn how to pass block. Quarterback in year 2 can't be overstated. Literally cannot. You look at Graham Mertz coming in year 2 as a starter out of the transfer portal. I understand last year was incredibly efficient. However, not explosive enough, not didn't have a deep passing attack. I understand all of that. I do, truly. I think that in year 2 for Graham, we see a quarterback that his completion percentage is going to drop for a couple of reasons. One, I think we see less of those pop passes, which kind of helped increase his completion percentage. But also, I think we see him just throw the ball deep more often. Graham Mertz wants to throw the ball deep. I want you to know that. Like, I've criticized the checkdowns. Not that I'm criticizing him necessarily. It's just the checkdowns aren't fun. They aren't, I guess, sustainable to actually win games consistently. But Graham Mertz is the kind of quarterback where he doesn't have the natural arm talent to just step up, stand, deliver, and throw winning throws consistently on his own without a good offensive line. He needs to be able to step into his throws to get legitimate drive on it. He's not Anthony Richardson. Okay? He needs to be able to step into his throws. Improved offensive line will help him there. I think that you see his completion percentage drop. Maybe passer rating drop. I think he's going to throw more picks this year. However, I also think he's going to have more yards and touchdowns because he'll be throwing the ball deep more often. But look at quarterbacks in year 2 out of the transfer portal before. Michael Penix Jr. with Washington. Bo Nix going from Auburn to Oregon, which I've said is the is the best situational comp for Graham. They're obviously very different football players. However, Bo Nix was ridiculed coming out of Auburn when he went to Oregon. Graham Mertz was ridiculed coming out of Wisconsin when he went to Florida. Jaden Daniels, another one that people laughed at him when he went to LSU. Heisman. Happens a lot, right? So I think that having a quarterback in year 2 can't be overstated. That's very valuable and really raises your ceiling and your floor as a team. Defensively, first off, you can't be worse, right? However, I feel like I've said that every year since 2020, and they've gotten worse. Please don't. But Austin Armstrong, as an SEC defensive coordinator, he got his feet wet last year. And also, please, I'm letting you know now. Please don't come into the comments about how silly you think it was to hire someone as young as Austin Armstrong is and as inexperienced as a defensive play caller as Austin Armstrong is. I don't care. I'm going to tell you right now, If that's you thinking about that, and by that I mean you could think that, but if you're thinking about commenting that, I don't care. Okay? I don't. He's here. He's not leaving. So you're talking into the void. Okay? That's all you're doing, talking to a void, because I will not acknowledge those kinds of comments because they're stupid to have. It's a waste of time. I won't do it. Okay? But you also improve the entire defensive coaching staff. So even if you think Austin Armstrong was too young and too inexperienced, they brought in Ron Roberts this year to help build the defense. He's there to help coach the coaches, which I think a lot of people ridicule. But at the same time, if the coaches you feel like you have are the coaches, but they're just not ready yet, would it not be smart to bring in a guy that can help coach them up and help speed up their development as coaches? I don't understand the hate for the Ron Roberts hire. I don't even mean that as someone that loves Ron Roberts, which I've never been shy about. I mean that as you feel you've got a really young coaching staff. You feel like they can become the answers that you need. Why would you just cut bait there when you can bring in someone that'll help speed them up while also being a better position coach upgrade from Jay Bateman? Linebacker play last year was god awful. God awful. Should be significantly better here. Gerald Chapman on the defensive line, Will Harris in the secondary. A lot of defensive coaching staff changes. Russ Callaway and as co-OC will help with game plan. I still expect Billy Napier to be the play caller there, but Russ helps you. I think that, this team has a lot of reasons to be optimistic. But again, what I've said always and will continue to say, when you have a lot of people with expectations, not everybody's going to reach those expectations that you have, right? Development often isn't linear. So you can't go, oh, well, they were decent this year. Hopefully they'll be a little bit better this year. Can't do that. Development isn't linear. There's big jumps in it. We'll see what it is. Someone will probably let me down somewhere along the way. But until then, with a tough schedule, despite having Samford on it. RJ. Just saying. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football for Locked On Gators. I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country and NFL 33, and I'll see you all next time.